starting back on number 8. These last three might look a little bit weird, but it's stuff that we've done, and especially number 8, we did at the beginning of this unit, so might need a little bit of a refresher, okay? the the first part's really easy. It says the graph of our functions provided, write a possible equation. Our whole goal is to write a possible equation, okay? Well, anytime you have a graph like this, you're going to look at the roots. And that's the information that we have. So instead of -2, I'm going to have x plus 2. Instead of this right here, I'm going to have x minus 2. And instead of plus 3, I'm going to have x minus 3. Okay? Now, when I multiply this out, I could go through all the work of multiplying that out and seeing what I have to get and see if that matches. Because the other piece of information that I know here that's really important is my y-intercept, okay? So I know my y-intercept here is 6. I know my y-intercept here is 6. But let's see if that matches here. So to see if it matches, I need to, I'm going to go down here, like from all of these. The y-intercept happens when x is 0. So I'm going to plug in, because look right here, 0's in the middle, and that's where my y-intercept always happens. So I'm going to plug in 0 for x. And it gives me 2 times -2 times -3. That gives me -4 times -3. And that gives me 12. Okay, well, the y-intercept that I expect to get right now is 12, but the one in all actuality up here on my graph is 6. So in this case, I got to think about, what do I need to multiply 12 by to get to 6? Well, it's not too hard. All I've got to do is just multiply by 1/2, because 1/2 times 12 is going to give me the 6 that I need. So the full equation for what I've got is this right here. Give me the roots. Look, compare the y-intercept, see what you need to multiply by. So, right here, on number 9, it says write the equation of a graph with roots of 2 and plus or minus the square root of 7. So, like if that was confusing to look at, it's plus or minus square root of 7 that goes with that. So I know my roots here. So my roots are 2, positive square root of 7, and negative square root of 7. We've probably done this so many times by now that you could say it in your sleep, but to go from roots to factored form, I'm going to rewrite it as x minus 2, x minus the square root of 7, and x plus the square root of 7. Okay? And all I did was just flip from 2 to -2, positive square root of 7 to negative square root of 7, and negative square root of 7 to positive square root of 7. It doesn't state it explicitly here, I don't think. So yeah, it just says write the equation, but it's going to want it in standard form. So, to go to that, we're going to do our double box method again. But what I would recommend doing every time, you see how that's the same thing but just the opposite? They come in that opposite pairs. I would multiply those together every time, and here's why. We talked about it in class before, but just as a refresher here, when I multiply these together, x and minus square root of 7, x and positive square root of 7, what's going to happen every time is these diagonal guys right here, I'm going to have -7 and positive 7, square root of 7. What happens right here? They're going to cancel out every time, because negative something plus positive something, like if they're the same thing, they just cancel out. That's beautiful. And then here, I'm going to have -7, because type it in your calculator if you're a little bit confused. Negative square root of 7 times square root of 7. And that's going to give you that right there. Okay. So, what that ends up giving you is x squared minus 7. And I've got x minus 2 to multiply by, because we already took care of these in green. We already took care of those, and we just have to multiply by what's left in yellow now. So I'll do this in purple really quick. Oh, doing the box method again. X cubed, -7x, -2x squared, and 14. So when I write this out in standard form, going biggest exponent to smallest, I've got x cubed minus 2x squared minus 7x plus 14. And you might say to me, Mr. Hampton, why didn't you combine across diagonal here? Well, look at the exponents. That's x squared, and this is just a regular x, so they're not like terms. So, last one. Honestly, probably the quickest. So, going left to right, it wants you to give me the roots and their multiplicity and what that does. So, here, the first root, anytime I have, let's just set that equal to, you're setting these equal to 0, right? So x to the 7th equals 0. Well, anytime you just have x by itself, we know it's 0. So my root is 0, because there's no way, like, there's no other number times itself that's going to give you 0. If it's just x, it's 0. And the multiplicity here comes from the exponent. Multiplicity always comes from the exponent here. So 7, and then odd, remember, for multiplicity, odd crosses and even bounces. So this would be crosses. And then for this highlighted in green, I'm going to have my root is -4, just flipping the sign. My multiplicity is 8, and because the multiplicity, not the root, the multiplicity is even. 8 is even. 8 is even. Okay, that's going to give me bounces. And then highlighted here in pink, I've got x minus 9. And it's going to be -9. Multiplicity is 1 because there's no exponent, and that crosses.